Hey everybody, Adam from Atlas Gunworks. We talk a lot about perfect zero, so today I'm going to give you kind of the goal of perfect zero and what we're always trying to accomplish, and then a little bit of why and how we sort of chase that. So perfect zero is the concept that when the gun fires, it lifts, returns to the same spot it came from, and stops, and has little to no wiggle at the end. And so what we're trying to give you the opportunity to do is pull the trigger, shoot again, have the gun return to the same spot. So assuming your sight picture was perfect the first time, you shouldn't have to re-aim or move the gun. And what we found on high-speed cameras is the top level shooters, right down to new shooters, when the gun returns, if it's not in the perfect spot and they're trying to shoot fast, they actually just subconsciously move the gun back to where it needs to be. So we're trying to eliminate that with the testing side of things, so that the gun just does the perfect zero all by itself. We don't want the shooter to have to do anything there. And so there's a bunch of factors to this. The first big factor is what power factor is your gun. So generically, the calibers and the bullet weights don't matter quite as much as the power factor formula. So what's funny is we've noticed a lot of guns are variations on a 1911, but they're all working off the same parameters that they worked off 100 years ago. And it makes a lot more sense to look at the power factor and how much energy the gun's producing, and then build a gun around that. So the physics and the weight of the gun, the power of the ammo, and your grip pressure are the components here that we use. So if your first shot is here, so that's shot one, and the gun's gonna cycle up and come back, we always want shot two, to be inside of this circle at 10 yards. That's the goal. As we go further out, that gets a little bigger. So the concept here is one trigger press and two shots inside of this group. If the first bullet lands high, if this is shot number two, then what it means is we need a little bit more spring pressure or a little bit more energy from the slide. So the slide came back, came forward, and didn't carry enough energy to bring the gun all the way back down to where it's from. The reverse of that is if the second bullet's here is low, we have too much energy. So this slide's gonna move. That's a foregone conclusion on an autoloader pistol at the moment, with anything that's got a blowback system like the 1911. So we're just gonna mitigate that to the point where it comes back, goes there, and ideally it's in the same spot, right? That's what we're trying to do, is two in one hole. For sports shooting, it can't be quite that good because you'll get a bunch of a bunch of mics, but the guns are that good. When I shoot a Nemesis in competition and I'm at 3 yards or less, I aim here and here because they will often put them in the same hole. So I'm not advocating that anybody do, one sight picture, two trigger presses, or a double tap or anything like that, but that's how we're testing the gun. I want the gun to be as good as it can be, and then the shooter can dial it in from there. So if we can get them to do this from the factory with a pretty, average grip, then you can dial this little bit in with changing springs and energy out of the ammo. Those are your variables. So that's what we're chasing here. You'll see the models all be designed with purpose. The 9mm guns are very different than the 40 cal guns, than the 9mm major open guns. They're all going to have a different energy and a different slide speed that we have to mitigate. But all we're trying to do is mitigate that to come right back to zero. And that's always our first goal, is perfect zero. So it's 2019, the Hyperion's our 9mm version of that. To date, this is the only gun I know in 9mm minor that somebody's designed totally around that caliber. We don't make it in any other caliber. It's a 9mm gun. Doesn't matter if we're shooting 147s, 124s, or 115s. It just wants good factory ammo run at about 130 power factor. And then from the grip and the recoil spring, you can manage the other, dial it right into your own deal. We do the same thing with the Nemesis and 40 cal, and then we do the same thing with the Chaos and the open guns for 9 major. So always chasing perfect zero here, always a little higher level of engineering, and we continue to make that always better and fit a wider group of shooters. Hope to see you guys on the range soon.